Hello, everyone.
Hey,
We are live. Just checking that we are live. Yes. Okay. Cool. Hey, Ryan. How are you?
good. How are you doing?
I'm good. How was World Tour New York then?
Oh, World Tour New York City was neat. Actually, so we had a talk. We did a talk on we use Mule to do AI APIs, and it was right at 9 o'clock in the morning, right when everybody was coming in and getting their badges. So I think we'd only got like a few people in the back of the Trailblazer Forest for that. But I went to World Tour New York City and saw some of you guys there. I'm sure not Alex this time. Um,
No.
but it was good. We did a meetup the night before, so I met some people in person never met before from the community. That was cool.
Nice.
Mhm.
Who was there?
Who was there? Well, Shivani Marrero was there. She was her meetup, so definitely she was there. And then Sabrina and Isabella and I met. I think it's Sabrina's husband, Riker. He helped a lot. And then we had pizza and then I met David Case and I met a bunch of MuleSoft employees. I met and Zandeep and so yeah, it was fun.
Nice.
Hmm.
Nice. Hopefully, I can go next year.
Yeah,
Yeah, next year. Yeah, next year.
I hope so too. Yeah.
All right. We're getting people. Hello. Hi, Rohit. Hello, Raj. Awesome. All right. So, Advent of Code again.
Yeah. This is my third year doing it.
Nice.
And I've been keeping up. I've been doing a lot, and I did most of this year in DataWeave on purpose because I'm trying to use DataWeave as much as possible for it. I have to say I fall back on Go sometimes, and that's not what this stream is about. So when I need high performance code, I did find out a way to do some of those in DataWeave too. I don't know if we'll get to that today. I figured we could just wing it and maybe people would like to see what it's like to really tackle a problem not prepared for the first time from scratch with DataWeave and Visual Studio Code extension. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah, let's just go from scratch. Yeah. You want to do that? You want to go? You want to start?
Yeah, sure. Let's
All
go.
right, let's just go. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope I don't have a bunch of stuff up on it. I probably don't. I was just teaching class. I hope some of you guys are here. If you're here from my DataWeave class, I was teaching a DataWeave class right before this. Is my screen shared now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want the tunnel. And we're not using DataWeave code. We're still using Anypoint Studio in my class. So if you're here from my class, type in the chat, hello. I'm glad you joined us. You're about to see some stuff we were not doing in class because we want to use the new extension. So for those of you who don't have it installed, there's an instruction manual on the MuleSoft site. You could just go follow the instructions and get the extension installed. I'm pretty sure this stream has done that, 55 times already? You've probably shown people how to install the extension. I don't know, but probably not the first time on the stream you've seen this extension, right?
Yeah. You can just give like a high level introduction if you want. That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen the extension before, but you maybe have used the playground for Advent of Code. If you really want to use DataWeave, the playground runs out of juice after a little while. It only does 2.5 seconds of execution time. It only has so much RAM. It can only put so much input data. So if you want to really run DataWeave, your options are make a Mule project in Anypoint Studio, which is a lot of work every night because every day a new Advent of Code problem comes out. Or you could try to use the DataWeave CLI. I did that last year and quit after a little while because it's kind of a lot of and the DataWeave CLI doesn't have so there's certain you don't have debugging, you don't have unit tests. So when the extension came out for Visual Studio Code, I was pretty stoked. I was excited. So there's a web page. I'm on my other monitor here. DataWeave extension. There it is. I'm gonna pull that up here. You just follow these instructions and get the extension installed for Visual Studio Code, and the installation is actually a breeze. It is a beta. MuleSoft probably isn't supporting this like And every once in a while I find little beta features of it. It feels like a beta sometimes, but I can legitimately say I've done 12 or 13 days of Advent code already using this extension this year because I really wanted to see what it was like. So I have been going for it. So I'm going to show you guys that today. So you install the extension in Visual Studio Code. It will look like this. It'll show up in your extensions menu. And then I don't have any project open right now. That's where we're going to start from blank, right? My extension is installed. So let's go find the latest problem. It came out last night at midnight Eastern time. I'm on Central time, so 11 o'clock my time. Some nights I do stay up and work on it. But this week I've been teaching some of you, if you're in the chat, DataWeave at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I have not been staying up and doing Advent of Code because I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and teach class. So you can see up until World Tour, I did a lot of the days completely. And then I flew to World Tour on the 12th, and you can see what happened. I did not keep up anymore but so I got a couple of days since then done. Just last night, I got day 17 done. I had to use Go for that. I'll explain why when we get there. But let's actually just see what day 18 or day 19. Today's the 19th. I haven't seen it yet. So let's look at it and tackle it. So day 19. All right. The Elves of Gear Island. So the whole thing this year, the whole thing every year with Advent of Code is you go on this adventure with the elves and you have to solve little puzzles. So some of you might not have done Advent of Code before, and they're programming challenges, and they're capable. You can do them in any language. I've been doing them in DataWeave because I love DataWeave. So this challenge is day 19. So there's been 18 challenges up to here, and I haven't completed all of them. But they don't go. You can do one challenge all by itself. So today 19, we're going to see what this one is. So the Elves of Gear Island are thankful for my help. That's nice. And they sent me on my way. They have a hang glider that someone stole from Desert Island. If I'm already going in that direction, it would help them a lot if I would use it to get down there and return it to them. So I'm going to return the hang glider. All right. As you reach the bottom of the relentless avalanche of machine parts, that's kind of a reference to stuff. There's been a lot of parts in this year's challenges related to parts for this, parts for that. That's kind of a theme in this year's challenges. You discover that they're already forming a formidable heap. Ooh, I like that zoomed in. Don't worry, though. A group of elves is already here organizing the parts, and they have a system. So each part is rated in each of 4 categories. Hey, extremely cool looking. Musical, makes a noise when you hit it. Aerodynamic or shiny. And look, I wonder if that acronym was on purpose. I don't know. So
I'm sure it was.
So I have parts in 4 categories. And the parts go through workflows that will ultimately accept or reject the part. Each workflow has a name and contains a list of rules. Each rule specifies a condition and where to send the part if the condition is true. First rule that matches the part being considered is applied immediately, and then the part moves on to the destination described by the rule. It's going to be like a state machine. The last rule in each workflow has no condition and always applies if reached. So this is what a workflow looks like. Oh, that's usually what I would get. As soon as I would get to this point, I would go copy paste that into the playground. That was last year. I'm not using the playground this year, so got to resist. All right, consider this workflow EX. I don't know what that means yet. This workflow is named EX. That's what that means. So the part before the curly braces is going to be the name of the workflow, EX. This workflow is named EX and contains 4 rules. So there's a rule. There's a rule. It only looks like 3 rules. What did I miss? If workflow EX were considering a specific part, it would perform the following steps in order. X greater than 10, 1. If the part's X is more than 10, send it to workflow 1. So this is workflow X, and I guess there's another workflow named 1. If M is less than 20, send it to workflow 2. If A is greater than 30, reject A. Oh, the comma separates the rules. So the last rule is just A. Otherwise, because no other rules match the part is immediately accepted. So we're going to determine R or A. If a part is sent to another workflow, it immediately switches to the start of that workflow instead and never returns. So once we follow a rule, we're done. We leave. So it's almost like we're making a little programming language, right? Where data is going to go in and get parsed through these different rules. That'll be fun. All right. The system works, but it's not keeping up with the torrent of weird metal shapes. The elves have, if I can help sort a few parts and give you the list of workflows and some part ratings. Aha, your puzzle input. They always do that. So now you know what your data is going to look like. And then this is very common. Puzzle to puzzle to puzzle. You're going to get a sample very soon after that. So I will take this sample, and I usually stop around here and set up my DataWeave project. So I'm going to do that. We're going to keep learning. We have a pretty good sense of the problem, though. We're going to get these rules, and we're going to get some parts. So the top one, that's going to be a bunch of parts, right? And the bottom one is going to be a bunch of rules. No, wait a minute. These are the rules, and these are the parts at the bottom. So that's what my input looks like. So I'm going to copy it, and we're going to go make a DataWeave project. So inside my I always go in my DataWeave, my Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to make a new folder in my source repository. So I've been doing Advent of Code in here, and there are all these days I did. So I'll just make a day 18 folder. No, day 19. I haven't done 18 yet. I have to remember that. I'll make a folder for day 19. So I'm going to make a whole new DataWeave project in here. It's going to open it. It asks if I trust the authors every time, and I always say yes. I don't exactly know what that does. And then the command palette up here, you can open with Command-Shift-P. So Command-Shift-P does that, just like clicking up there. And I've been typing it a lot, but if you're doing it for the first time, it might not be auto-completed. So you type DataWeave, it tells you the DataWeave stuff. We're going to make a new library project. I've been naming mine. You have to put all the Maven coordinate stuff in here. So I'm going to put my org ID. And I have a pattern I've been using, AOC 2023, day 19 for the artifact ID. And then I have to type that in twice, so I get a project name, AOC 2023, day 19. And that's the folder. And it asks me, do I want to open it in a new window? And I always say no, because I want this window. So here I am. I have a DataWeave project. And it's organized kind of like a DataWeave library is organized like most Maven projects. So I got my DW folders for test and for main. So here's how I've been doing it, because I want to run tests sometimes when I'm working on the project. I've been renaming the main library to the day that I'm on. This is just what I've been doing. So day 19, right? And I get rid of that, and I just put data to start with. Actually, I put var data is equal to nothing, and we're going to come back to that because then I'm going to make a mapping. I take the mapping that comes up in here, and I rename that one to the day mapping just to keep myself organized. And I change the import to day 19, and I import data from day 19, and I put data. And right away, I should be able to preview something. Oh, it doesn't like that. What's wrong? Unable to resolve reference of data. I thought I put that in there. Our data.
You didn't save it.
Oh, I didn't save it. I didn't save day 19 yet. Yeah. So I just saved both of those, and we're going to re-preview. So there's a little preview button up here. That's like the playground. It's not live. You can turn on live preview. I've had it crash enough times that I don't use live preview. I button push the preview. So there's my data. All right, so we got something. Now I copy pasted this sample data here, right? So we're going to go in source main resources. I have kind of a pattern I've been using. It helps to do the same thing every day so that it's muscle memory. So sample1.text, it's a good habit to do sample one because some of the challenges are going to have multiple samples, especially when you get to the part 2. So I make a sample1.text. I've been using text as my format. I just paste that in there. Now, some days like today, the data comes in chunks, right? So what I'll usually do is I have this idea that I'm going to break it right there on line 12 into 2 pieces. So I'm going to make sure my puzzle input does that too. I'm going to go get my puzzle input. I'll save sample1.text. Let's scroll to the bottom and get my puzzle input. I have my own puzzle input. You have your own puzzle input. They're not the same. Well, I don't even care if I put this on GitHub. Nobody's going to be able to use this for theirs. They're going to have to do their own, right? So I'm going to go make another one. And I've been renaming every day. My pattern has been puzzle-input.text. Boom. Ooh, look, and then I get a sense of the scale of the data. That's quite a few rules. That's quite a few input parts. All right, rules. So we have 570 rules. I think it's one indexed. and just like 200 parts. Whew, good scale. They like to give you computational challenges sometimes. I was debugging one the other day. All right, so I've got my sample input. Now I'm probably going to scan the rest of the problem. Workflows, blank line, ratings of the parts. All parts begin in the workflow named in. That's important. So there's a workflow named in, and then here's an example of some parts and what's going to happen. 2 parts are accepted, and you add up the ratings. So what we have to do is come up with a number at the end for all the adding up the ratings of the accepted parts. All right, it's okay. We don't have to get all the way that far at the beginning. We just start with parsing some text, right? So let's do that. So what I'm going to do is go back to my day 19, and I'm going to do my, every time I end up with something that's like this. So we're going to get the var data is equal to read URL, and you're going to use the class path. And every time, I've been doing this every day this year, I backspace over that. And I do read data with a function, because I want to switch from sample data to puzzle data later, right? So it's going to be read URL, class path, slash, and it'll be the file name with an interpolation, and I'll read it as text plain. There we go. So then I'll go back to my mapping, and we'll use read data instead of data. So by now I'm going to import star. I always end up falling back on that. Sample1.text. What do we got? We got nothing. Oh, I got to save it, and I got to run my preview, don't I? Okay, that's a mess, but it's good mess. Good. Let's break it into 2 parts. Right. So I when anything I'm going to keep, I come back here. Right. So, and I like to name them according to the problem. So this one's going to be, it's called a plenty. So we're going to have a rules part, and we're going to have a parts part. Rules and parts. Okay. These are called parts, right? I think that's right. Right? Parts. You're allowed to talk. I'm not trying to just, I just talk a lot. Sorry. I'm just fast. Yeah, those are parts, aren't they? Parts with what? Each part is like part ratings, right? I have a part with 4 ratings, and the parts are not numbered or anything. So let's go back down here. The part with X equals 2120. I don't think we're guaranteed that all the X's are going to be unique. It's possible, but I don't think we have like part IDs. I think they're just generic parts, parts with ratings. So I might call them just parts. I don't know. But anyway, let's do it. So fun, parse. Yeah, parse. Input. And that's just going to take some data. It's good. I've been naming them so I can think is really why I do that. So we're going to take read data. We're going to take the data, and we're going to do split by 2 new lines, right? So now if I come back to my mapping, we can parse input, the read data, and we should get 2 parts. Okay, good. Now I got rules, and I have that. Now every one of these challenges, we end up breaking new lines. Luckily, DataWeave came with a nice strings module, so I'm going to do that. I end up with strings and arrays in every one of these projects. So we're going to take the parse input and extend it to actually break these into lines. I want arrays of lines. So I'm going to do a do. I always end up with my do function. If you're in my class, we're going to do tomorrow or the day after. So we're going to just var chunks equals that. And then what I want for the input is I want rules. So I'm going to make a little monitor object, chunks, lines of chunks sub 0, right? Why doesn't it know? Did I not do the import? Oh, I put the import in the wrong place. Oops. There we go. Import goes here. Boom. Lines of chunks. So I like lines instead of split by nothing. Split by new lines. Lines is better. Rules and part ratings. What? There you go. That looks a little better, doesn't it? And we still got a bunch of punctuation to sort out. So I'm going to make some types. This is something I just started doing this year. I'm starting to treat DataWeave more like languages I learned early in my with actual type names. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a type here. So we're going to do a type for the rule first because I want to parse my rules. And it's going to be an object like that. And apparently it's going to have, what are they called? Rule. Are those the names? The first part is the name, right? Workflow. Okay, a workflow. A series of workflows. Each workflow has a name and contains a list of rules. So they're not rules, they're workflows. So let's fix that. My parse input. I'm going to put this back in my day 19 also. Boom. And now these are going to be called workflows, not rules, right? So it's going to be an object, and it's going to have a name, which is a string. Then what else is it going to have? It's going to do a list of rules, and each rule is a condition and where to send the part, except that the last rule doesn't have anywhere to send the part. So I'm going to call that like a target, maybe. Condition and a target. So the condition is going to be a lambda, right? Because it'll be a Boolean. It'll be like what I like to call a predicate, a lambda that returns a Boolean, and a target. So let's do that. So name string, and target is string or null, right? Is that how you do that? It doesn't like that. What did I do wrong? You know, last time I did this, Alex, I had to go back and look this up. So let's go back to the documentation.
I think it should like that. I don't know.
Well, it didn't like it. You think that is right? So let's go back. So in the type system, I mean, this will help the viewers anyway. In the type system documentation, it tells you how to do composite types. So an object type, maybe I'm not doing the union right. Let's see if I'm not doing the union right. Yeah, it's the union. So that's the right syntax. But if it's nullable, I guess I could just do like this. I could just make it an optional. Invalid input question mark. So optional fields look like this, right? Oh, look, you don't put object first. That's what it is. You just put the curly brace first. There we go. What do you think? So we'll do an optional field so that the field is absent. I'm not going to use a null. I'm just going to use a string with an optional field. There we go. So you don't put object first. You just put curly braces. That's what that is. All right, cool. Name, target, and then we need more in our, we need the condition, right? So condition is going to be now how do I specify a function type? I want to do a lambda type in here. I think I just type it out, don't I? So it would be like, the condition is going to take a part, which I don't have parts yet, do I? The input is the part that has a part rating. So I guess I'll make one. Type part rating like that. For now, I'll make it an object and I'll come back to it. Oh, can I do that?
Isn't function a type, actually?
Is it like this?
You're missing, yeah. No, it doesn't work.
I think it's like this. I think I have to make, no. Did I say the result? Okay, that's looking right. So that would be a 0 arc function, but it's got to be a 1 arc function. So I'm going to take a part rating and return a Boolean, right? It's almost object oriented, isn't it? A little bit, because I have a type that has a function in it. Sort of object oriented. Yeah. It's that's like a predicate. Yeah. Hello, Sandeep. Hello, Devnik. I don't know how to say that. FDC. Yep. Yeah, hi Vikas, hi Raj. I didn't say all the hellos. We gotta do the hellos. You guys are coding with us. So we're gonna parse those workflows from these strings. So I got a name, that's right there, PX. And then I've got it's not just gonna be one condition, it's gonna be an array of conditions and targets, right? So a rule is actually these two. Those two are a special type. Type workflow rule is equal to these two things together, right? And the workflow is going to have a list of those. So rules is going to be an array of workflow rule. I wonder if it'll let me do it out of order like this. Hey, it did. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Hi, Raj. I know you're calling it scripting. It's I feel like when I start doing type declarations, it is no longer scripting. Now it's real programming. I don't know what you guys think about that. DataWeave is growing up. It's in 2.0 and it's getting strong. But we've got an array of workflow rules. Workflow rules have conditions and targets. Targets are optional because a workflow rule might not have a target if it's the final rule. And we need to do this part rating thing here. And part ratings are going to have 4. I could just literally just have that be an object. What do you think? I think I just make that be an object. So part rating really could just be an object. Yeah, let's do it. Let's actually strongly type it since we started, right? So it'll be X colon number, right? M colon number, A colon number, and S colon number. There we go, right? That's those part ratings. Cool. So now we can actually start to turn this stuff into that stuff. I feel like it'll be easier to parse the part ratings. You want to start with that? Let's do that. Yeah. He's got a question, Alex. You want to answer Z's question?
Yep. So yes, this can be rewatched. You can watch it on LinkedIn if you find it, because it goes like down, way down. Or you can just go to Twitch, right there, twitch.tv, MuleSoft, community videos, and there you will see all of the recordings. I think this will be under games, so yes, you will be able to find it there.
All right, so let's make a function to parse the ratings first. Parse, and I'm going to write it out, part ratings. And it's going to take probably just, I can do the split lines inside it. So I'm just going to take the chunk. So chunk is just a big old string, right? And it's going to return an array of part rating. Right. So I can take this lines here, and this is going to become parse part ratings. Chunks of 1. And for now, we'll just do lines of, lines of chunk, right? And I will take out the return type for now while I'm working on the function. So, and I'll put it back when I'm done because I want to see it work. So now we're back to working, I think. If I save it, let's see. Yeah, we're still working. Good. Sort of like the playground, right? Now we need to make each of those things a part rating, right? So the part rating is an object that has 4 things. So it'll be object. So actually, I'm going to use a do here because I need to break that whole thing up. So let's do that. Do. There we go. And in the do, we're going to go, I guess. See, it's always in the same order. I don't think there's any reason to worry about that. So I'm going to, there's a nice function in strings where you can trim stuff off the ends. Let's go get that one. So I'm going to go back to the reference, go back to strings. It's like unwrap or something. Unwrap text with a wrapper string. This only works with, does it work with balanced ones? The text used to unwrap. let's try it in the playground and see real quick. So if I take ABC that and import strings, I want to do unwrap. No, I don't think it does what I think it does. That doesn't even make sense. But unwraps a given text from a wrapper text. I wonder if you can give it a regex. Wouldn't it be nice if we give it a regex? So it's not unwrapped. There's another one. Well, I'm just going to cheat then. I don't know if it's cheating or not. I'll just probably use remove. Remove text. Yeah, it's a little bit longer and annoying, but we're going to do it. So we're going to take the line and var parts, or var, these are going to be the ratings, rating texts. Ratings is equal to line remove that. Actually, I don't think that's going to work either, but let's prove it. I don't think I can just put remove here, right? No, you have to do one at a time. See? So I'm going to have to do this. Kind of ugly. I don't know. Let's do it. There. All right. So now I've got the line. Each line has got the curly braces off of it. And I'm going to split by that. So that's going to do this.
If you want to do regex, you can also use replace to just remove them.
Like this, replace, like this one.
Yeah. The width is inside. It has to be outside.
It has to be outside?
You're missing something in the regex.
Oh, I didn't put the square bracket in there. There we go.
Yeah.
So which one do we like better? Do we like remove, split by, remove, or replace? They're both kind of ugly for different reasons. I don't love either one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the remove just because I got and I've already got them split. So anyway, I'm going to leave it here. I need to just make sure my split by is good. All right, so I've got the parts, and the parts are actually going to be letters and numbers, right? X equals 6 and M equal 3, right? Like that. Then I got to take those things and put the whole thing in parens and map rating split by equal sign to get the actual parts of the ratings, right? So I'm going to do that in my code. All right, so those are the ratings. And what's nice here is you don't have to do the whole parenthesis making a giant long substring. Substring wouldn't have been bad because I could just chop off the first and last. Oh, what? You know, that is better. That is better. Good job. Yeoman, is that your name? I appreciate your help. Let's do that. So let's actually do not a substring exactly, but 1 to -1. Would that do it? No, 1 to -2, right? It's kind of like substring, right? It's also ugly. It's also ugly. But I think it's the least ugly. I think this is actually the least ugly of the 3 ways we just took the curly braces off, and I'm actually going to do it. There. So that made it into the code. Split by that, and then we need to take the what I split and then take it apart into 2 parts, right? So we're going to do var so var x equal right? Actually, let's make a little function real quick. Do I need to do that? I don't need to make a function. Var x equal ratings sub 0, right? Split by equal, and then that whole thing, it might need a little function, right? So if I do x, what do I get? Save, run. I got my X's. So this is a lot of noise to do 4 times. It might be nice to make a little function. I think, when I'm doing advent code, there's a time constraint. So sometimes I don't write it like I would at work, and I just do this, right? And I don't know what you guys think about that. Judge me. I deserve it. But there we go. Hang on. I got to turn that off. Yeah. Done. M A A S S, and we have got our part ratings, don't you think? Let's see. Boom. That's looking like useful. I still don't want them in strings, right? We probably want numbers. I think I'm going to be fancy here. Map object. $, colon, dollar as number. I didn't want to do it 4 times. I know. There, we got numbers. So, okay. So I just went over the whole thing and turned them all into numbers because they're all numbers. All right, we've got our ratings. That's a good thing. Let's get our rules next. Yeah. All right, now for the rules, I'm also going to have to cheat. Let's put my type signature back on my function here for my part rating. Make sure that still works. Part ratings are good. I don't know if we're going to finish this by the end of the stream. What do you think? But we'll give people a challenge. They can start with my partial solution and finish their own. This is day 19, Advent Code 2023.
Yeah, right. I think so.
So you're going to have to help me with team timekeeping. Cool. So let's parse our workflows, huh? All right. So fun, because it is fun. Functions are fun, right? You got to have a certain definition of fun. And again, I'm not going to put the type signature on the result while I'm working on it, So the workflows are going to be a list of workflows. So it's going to be an array of something. I could put array, And for now, I'll steal what I did before, lines chunk. Right? Oh, I did my look at my silly syntax. There we go. All right, this is going to be parse workflows of the chunks, and that should still work. I run it, right? Boom. All right, first thing we can do is take the name, right? So I'll make this an object, and this is raw. That name. Oh, wait a minute. I have to map them. Name is going to be something, and raw is going to be the line there, so I can see it. All right. So I didn't get the name yet. The name is whatever comes before the curly brace, right? So let's use substring before. That's super easy, right? So line substring before the first curly brace should give me the name. Boom, I got the name. All right. Now we need to go get all the rules out of the name, out of it. So we're going to strip we can do the same trick we did before. So line would be position 0, 1, 2, 3, and minus 2, right? Let's see what that goes. All right, now I've got my rules, and we can split those by comma to get the rules separated. All right, now I got some rules. Now each rule is going to need, I think we should have a parse rule function since we have a parse rule type, right? We got our workflow rule type. So we can make a function for that. Well, I think we should do that.
I think some of them have brackets, like the third one.
How did that happen? Oh, why would some of them have brackets? Oh, because some of the names are going to be different lengths. So we do have to use we cannot use our trick. We're going to have to go to the old remove trick. I want substring after. Line, thank you. Substring after that, right? And then that whole thing is going to be 0 to -2, right? Because the names are variable length. Actually, I could actually make, no, this could be cleaner. I don't care if it's cleaner. I could use the name I already parsed, you know, but I don't care. We don't have to. Substring after that. Let's see what that does. Good catch. Thanks for that. Look at that. That would have got me pretty bad. If I ran the whole thing and I had curly braces in some of the names, whew, I might have missed that one. Yeah. So now we got the rules. We need to parse the rules. That's where we were. Yeah. Parse workflow rule for a single rule text string. All right. So the rule is going to have a condition, which is a lambda, and a target. Yeah. So we got to get the condition parsing is going to be the fun part. Let's do the target first. Target. Now, if it doesn't have, this is an optional thing. If it has a colon, yeah. So what we'll do is another do. Var target. No, var. I'll just do parts again. Equal rule text split by colon. It's colon, right? So either parts is going to have 2 parts or 1 part. So I think if I do a 2-part thing, this is my playground. I make a monitor object in playground because I don't always want to lose what I did before. So if I take a 0, if I have an array like that and I want, first, and I want the first item, I'm gonna get null, right? That's what I was hoping for because I could use a default. I could use a default there. So if you take the second item of a 1-item array, you're gonna get, which is what I'm gonna have on the last one. We're gonna do target colon parts of 1, and then we're gonna conditional that thing. If not, sometimes I do it like this. Not is empty parts of 1. Right. Save, run. Oh, am I not using it yet? So I made a parse workflow rule. Oh. So now I need to take these parts and yeah, these parts need to be run through my new function, right? I have to take that whole thing and map it. Map rule text. Parse workflow rule text. Okay, target. Okay, good. And the last one's always empty because they don't have targets. Good. Now we actually got to do the condition, right? So the condition, let me do condition text. It's parts 0, right? And now we got to turn those into lambdas. So the interesting part here is we're going to have letters and then a function. Are they all greater than less than? Let's check that. They all look like greater than less than's. No equals, which is nice. Let's look at my puzzle input too. Just kind of visually scanning. I think I'm going to get away. Now, after I run a function, I can see for sure, but it sure looks like they're all greater than or less than, which does make this easier, right? So, because they're just opposites of each other. Okay, so we're going to, as we parse those, we're going to need to take the letter, we're going to take the punctuation, and then we're going to have to take the number at the end. And they're all going to be single letters because X, M, A, and S are all one letter. So that really does make it easy, right? So I can take I think I do want to make a parse condition. I know that I got a million parse functions here, but I think I want to make one. Fun parse condition text. So let's do, for now, just so I can see the parts, we're going to do rating colon condition text square bracket 0. And then we're going to do operation. And then we're going to take the threshold, and we're going to do condition text 2 minus 1 and see what that does as number, right? Did I already call it parse workflow rule? Let's see what happens in our mapping. Oh, crunch. Cannot coerce string G to number. What did I do wrong? So let's take the threshold out and just see what I did. I broke it somehow. So A is less than, M is greater than. I think the last one isn't going to work because there's just going to be a target on the last one. So I got it wrong. The last one has a target but doesn't have a condition. So I did my type wrong, didn't I? Workflow rules always have a target, right? They don't always have a condition. There. What just happened? So I need to go back to my parse condition and fix that. So the target is in parse workflow rule. It's always going to be there. So it'll be parts sub -1 because I think that works, right? No matter what. Let's prove that. Let's go to this first and we'll do a -1. Okay, good. So if a one item array, I have one item or two items, it always gives me the last item, right? That's good, right? So I always have a target, but I'm not always going to have a condition. So condition is conditional. Condition is conditional. Not is empty. Right, so 1 there. So we're only sometimes going to have a condition. That should work. So I should be able to put the threshold back in and see. There we go. A less than 2006, M greater than 2090, and then the last one just has a target with no condition, right? And then A greater than 1716. This is looking right. So I do spend a lot of time getting set up, like to solve the problem, right? Just by taking the text and turning it into something I can work with. I need to turn those operations into lambdas though, instead of characters, right? So let's do that. And since we only have 2, I'm probably not making a function here. I'm just going to use match, right? There. So if I have greater than, we're going to do a function that takes a number. So that'll be the rating. Well, look at that. This is definitely going to need to be a do now because I need the variable so I can make a closure. Var threshold equals that because I'm going to need to use it inside the lambda. Boom. All right, so now I can put the threshold here. And now rating is got to be greater than threshold. Why doesn't it know about rate? Oh, because I have to make it a lambda. All right. And I guess I could probably just use an else since there's only one other function, right? So I don't know. I might feel a little guilty about that, but right? Rating less than threshold, right? So now I got a lambda one way or the other on the operation. So now let's run that again. It's not going to print out very well though. I don't care. Let's see what it does when I print it out. I don't think it, yeah, it doesn't like to print lambdas. So That's okay though. I don't care. I don't need to print it. I just need to use it. So now I've got my conditions that are going to be part of my rules, and I can, it'll still print if I do this. There we go. So that's the raw. Now we're actually going to build our type. So I'm glad I printed it back out. I could remember what we were doing. There we go. So we got to go. Parse condition is going to be used by parse workflows. And so now I'm going to make the workflow actually a workflow. A workflow has name and rules array. So I don't want a raw array. I want a rules array, right? And that'll be this thing. And I can get rid of raw. It's actually just renaming that field. We got all the way from raw to rules. And since I now think they are really workflows, I'm gonna make it an array of workflow. Right, an array of workflow. Why is it mad? Expecting type that takes a part rating. Aha, good. I'm glad I did the type system because I made the conditions take a number, but they also have to check X, M, A, or S, which is what a part rating is, right? Aha. So I have to go change that. So my match function needs to change to expect to take a rating, which is a part rating, right? And you can't just compare the rating. You have to do the rating with the letter that you're checking. I don't know what to call it, so I'm going to be a little lazy. Rating letter is equal to that. There. And now we can do rating square bracket rating letter right here. Because it needs to get the X, the M, or the A, or the S there. So now what is this mad about? We should be closer now, right? Expecting type, part rating Boolean, but got rating string. No, it shouldn't. We fixed that, didn't we? These are taking a rating. So parse condition goes here. Type it says expecting a type that takes a part rating and returns a Boolean. Oh, those aren't part ratings. Why does it think it's a, it doesn't think it's a, oh, parse workflow rule is supposed to return a workflow or an actual workflow rule. Let me do that. Is that all it was? Oh no. It just didn't declare its type. And so the type system was like, are you sure? So it's still gonna, can't print out now, right? So I've got my workflow rules in my workflows. It's a good thing I have the type system since I can't print it out anymore, right? So now I've got an array of workflow. I've got an array of rules inside the workflows. Got my ratings. All right, so let's go back to the mapping. I've got my input parsed. I think I've got my input parsed. Part rating, workflow rule. Now we do the actual challenge, or sometime we do. We're getting near the end of the stream, and we need to figure out if we're going to reject or accept. Aha, so some of them, the target is going to be another workflow rule, and other ones, the target is going to be R or A, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to make a function that the actual challenge is make a function that loops over these things. And then for each one of them, it's going to run it through the workflows, starting with in. So we need to find the in workflow, right? So I need a little function to do that. on starting workflow from, now what do I want to give it? Whatever comes out of this, whatever comes out of parse workflows, right, is going to be on my workflow. So workflows is equal to workflows first with, oh, I need arrays now. Every one of these challenges. Import star from arrays. And now I can use first with workflow.name is equal to in. Arrow. And just to see what happens, I have parse input, right? But I don't want parse input anymore. Now I want, oh no, I do want to do parse input. So I'll have workflows and I'll have ratings. So let's do this. I don't like to put too much in my mapping, but my input, so I need, is it called in workflow find? What did I call it? Starting workflow. So starting workflow, my input workflows name. Let's just make sure I get in back. Okay, good. So there is one named in and we found it, right? So now I've got a starting workflow. And that could be another variable. Boom. And what we'll have to do is go through our part ratings, and run it through the starting workflow. We got a question. Do you know the answer?
I don't.
We're on 2.0 right now. That came out in 2018 with Mule 4. And before that was DataWeave 1.0. And I don't have the answer to that one. I don't know when 1.0 came out. But 2.0, I think, was born in actually, I remember DataWeave 1.0 came out in Mule 3.7. So that's a little more of a clue in the mystery. If you could go find out when 3.7 came out, that's when DataWeave 1.0 came out. So it's a little over 5 years old, at least. DataWeave 2.0 is a lot cleaner than 1.0. 1.0 was it was a 1.0, and I loved it, but 2.0. Thanks for the question, Lineback. So we're gonna do our ratings. So my input dot ratings map part rating, right? And we're gonna run it through the first workflow. Now, what does running mean? I have to go start with the very first condition and check. I'm gonna check the conditions one by one, right? So it'll be workflow dot rules, right? First with rule, and it'll be check the condition, and if the condition matches, then we take the target, right? So first with rule dot condition of the part rating. That's it. That's the one I want. So why is it unhappy with me? Oh, because this whole thing doesn't go in my mapping. I use the imports to teach me that. So there's no workflow yet. It'll be starting workflow. And then we're going to do a reduce. I don't know if I'm going to get to do the reduce in this session. But my workflow. There we go. Rules. Now what's it upset about? Unable to, okay, yeah. So this whole thing belongs, because we're getting close to I feel like we're probably getting close to the end of the stream. I'm gonna do it here, and then when I redo it myself, I'm probably gonna move it to the day 19 mapping. But yeah, so I'm gonna go start with the starting workflow, go through my rules, find the first rule that matches it, and take the target. Oh, so actually I have to check for the absence of a condition. So if there's no condition, it matches, right? So it'll be is empty rule.condition, right? or the rule.condition matches. Now what's it mad about? Okay, whatever. I won't use it. I don't know why I used this empty there. It should have been a null. A null check. Simple. Why did I make it complicated? Null check simpler than is empty. Rule condition is null. I'm using Visual Studio Code. I'm not using Anypoint Code Builder, which is a different set of extensions. So Visual Studio Code has a DataWeave extension. Watch the beginning of the video and get a little intro for that. So we're going to find the first workflow that matches. And then what are we going to do? We're going to take its target. No, the first rule that matches, and then we're going to take its target. So this would be matching rule. Boom. Do. I love do. Match rule is equal to that. Matched rule dot target. That's one time around, right? So now I've got the target of the first rule. Now the trouble is we don't just have one workflow. We have a whole bunch of workflows, right? So we're going to have to go from in to whatever. It's either going to go to PX or QQZ, right? It's either going to go to this one or that one. So we're going to go get the next workflow by name, and that's something I didn't do right. Oh, so we're going to need to be able to retrieve workflows by name. So I should have the workflows in a object, not in an array. It's a good thing I just noticed that. So we'll go back. Parse workflows, I want to give me an object where the key is the name and the value is the workflow. So that's actually pretty easy here because I've already got objects with name and value fields. So I can just use that XML thing we always do. So instead of name like this, I'm going to do, my code will be unreadable if I don't use vars now. So I'm going to put a do on this. And I'm going to make this var name is equal to that. And var rules is equal to that, right? It just happened. It jumped on me. Usually Visual Studio Code's okay. So now all we do is I'm going to make those into objects where the name goes on the left and the rules goes on the right. No, it has to be a workflow. So I'm going to still do name, rules. There. So now I've got a lookup table because I can take this whole thing that comes out of the map. Now, I don't have a clean way to do this. This, unfortunately, the cleanest I can do is like that. If somebody has a cleaner way so that you can read the code when you come back 2 days later, I would love to hear it. This little XML thing where you make an object out of a bunch of little objects, it's called the destructure operator. I'm sorry, it's ugly. It's just ugly, but it's the destructure operator and it's the way to do it. So I made an object now where the keys are going to be the name and the value is going to be this workflow object, right? Because now I don't know how to denote this. Is it like this? I want just like a string, colon, and a workflow. But I don't know if I put that in parentheses or something. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's see. No, it's unhappy now. Oh, why don't I have a starting workflow? Oh, everything broke. It really doesn't like that line. I don't think I can, I don't know how to declare a type where the key is any string and the value is a workflow. Yeah. So I am not going to give it a type. I'm just going to trust myself to have an untyped return because it'll work. Right? Now it's still not happy. Nope. What did I do wrong? I'm getting a glare on my screen. All right. That's better. So where's the error? What error does it think it even has at this point? Parse input doesn't exist. Do you see any error here? I see no. It's like in the scroll bar. It's acting like it's right here. It's this parse workflows function. What happens if I get rid of this? Save. Oh, there it is. I had a comma there. All right. We are back to no errors. Starting workflow is still mad though because there's no rules. So yeah, the starting workflow is going to find the one named in, which is actually easier. So I will put these structures back in. Now, starting workflow is still not any good because it's doing a loop. So what I'm going to do is go back to the starting workflow. I think this is a lot easier. I think I just do workflows square bracket in now, or workflows.in. I think that'll work. And let's prove it. So now I should have start.name should be in, right? Make sure I'm not broken. Okay, good. All of that rebuilding of my data structure is okay because my starting workflow still has the name in. All right, good. Check my work a little bit. So now we're going to go through our part readings. We're going to get the starting workflow. We're going to go through the rules. We're going to find the first rule that matches. And now we're going to need to, probably where it goes from here, because I know we're over an hour, is we have to use a reduce, because we have to go through each rule and then take the target that comes out, and that's the new workflow. And we do this again until we finally get to where? Let's go back to the challenge. An A or an R, right? And then we've accepted or rejected it, right? And I wonder if it ever runs out. That would be the thing I would find out when I could. Yeah, eventually you're going to land at an A or an R, right? And you're done. So you reduce this function here. So the plan, reduce this below until we reach a target of A or R for each part rating, right? Then filter for A's, right? Because we only want the accepted ones. And after you find the A's, we need to add up the ratings for the accepted ones. So add up the 4 ratings for each and sum for the part 1 solution. All right. I'm going to have to leave it at a plan because of our timing. But that's the plan whenever I tackle this later on today after work.
Perfect.
So,
all right. You want to share your repo so people can check this out?
Good idea. Yeah. And why don't I actually check in the partial solution too? Oh, I hate when this happened to me last time. Watch what's about to happen. My code, I created the folder, but Mac did it in the wrong place. Sometimes it does it in my root folder. Day 19, look, there's day 10, day 9. Keeps happening. So I'm going to close the solution, and for now, I will do it after the stream. Git remote -v. That's not a link. Let me give you a real link. Yeah. Advent a code. There we go. So most of these are in DataWeave. The ones I gave up on are in. Can you copy paste that? Can I put that in the chat? I think so.
You can send it in the private chat. Yeah.
Yeah. And most of these are DataWeave. You will see that I had to do day 17 in Go, and there's a data structure reason. Might be a different stream we talk about. priority queues. It's a deep topic, but DataWeave doesn't have any, so we would have to make one. And there's a way to make one, but that's a different stream.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right.
And let me just comment that there. Okay. All right. So this is all then. Thank you so much, Ryan. I love Advent of Code.
Me too. Me too, and it's fun to code in DataWeave. It makes me better at DataWeave for normal job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So for everyone watching, remember to follow us on twitch.tv/MuleSoft_community. So you can see all of our previous recordings, you can see our schedule in your local time zone, and you can receive notifications as soon as we are live. So you can also watch us on LinkedIn, but I prefer Twitch. So yeah, that's all then. Thank you, Ryan. And I will see everyone on Thursday with Diane Kessler, where we continue with the Okta challenges.
Okta. All right.
All right. Bye.